Hey, today I'm going to be talking about how to have emotional control and how to heal your emotions. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Carly. I used to be extremely emotionally immature. I was in a lot of emotional pain all the time. And I would blame other people for my problems. I was a social justice activist for a really long time. For about 7 years, I was a Marxist communist. Oh, great. This thing is melting. Okay. So we're going to film this way, I guess. We'll do it this way. I was a Marxist communist and anarcho-communist for a really long time. I studied Marx and I agreed with everything Marx said. Unfortunately, while that stuff makes a lot of sense logically, it only makes sense from a logical place of other people are doing things to me and we need to control other people in order for us to be happy. So I did not want to. One day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to rely on other people for my happiness. I want to be happy by myself and my own power. And I discovered the power of taking personal responsibility and how much my life improved just in general. Now I feel a lot of inner peace. I feel a lot of just well-being most of the time. I'm in a good mood most of the time. That doesn't mean I don't get annoyed and don't have like bad days. Of course I do. I'm here as a human. I'm here to have a human experience, and that includes having bad days, of course, but I'm not ruled by my emotions anymore. If I have a weird emotion or a troubling emotion, I know how to work through it. I know how to calm and center myself, and I know how to come back to a grounded place of inner peace within like 15 minutes, if that. And I'm going to teach you how I did that today. So the first step is to face your will to live. And I know this sounds kind of crazy, but if you have a lot of emotional turmoil and if you're in a lot of emotional pain, choosing to live is something that you need to consciously do. Otherwise, you're going to be choosing slow suicide, or in horrible cases, actual suicide. This was also a choice that I had to make. I was suicidal, and this was back in 2015. I was very suicidal. I had been depressed for years. I've been depressed probably since I was 8 years old. And I was 24 when I was like, what's the point of living anymore? I'm going to kill myself. And so I did attempt suicide. And then I realized during that, I was like, I don't want to do this. What kind of choice is there? What other kind of choice do I have? And I found Teal Swan's. It literally just popped up on my dashboard. I found Teal Swan's video on suicide, and that saved my life. That video saved my life. And in that video, she basically says you need to choose whether you want to live or whether you want to die. And what I've come to realize with everybody who has a lot of deep emotional pain, you're teetering on the edge of, I don't know if I want to be here. And I don't know if this is for me. And I don't know if I can do this. And if that's where you are, it's because you have not chosen to live yet. You have not chosen, this is something that I'm committing to, and this is a path that I'm here to take. I'm here to live. I'm here to commit to life. When I made that choice, that was the first time I used my free will, basically. And I consider my life split between this choice that I made to live and before that, because I was seriously unconscious before I made that choice. I wasn't making free will choices at all. I was just kind of letting life happen to me, and letting things like be as they were, I guess, if that makes sense. And so I didn't feel like I had any control over my emotions because I didn't know how to control my emotions. Ever since that choice that I've made, every single day has been a free will exercise in choosing life. And that's a choice that you get to make consciously every single day, over and over again. And it's a choice that I've committed to. It's a choice that I continue to commit to. And I highly recommend, if you are suicidal and if you are deeply depressed, that you watch that. I don't know if I can say suicidal and the S word on YouTube, but we did it, so. Okay, so that's step one. Step one is to choose, are you here fully? Do you want to be here fully? And even if you're not, S word, even if you're not at that level, you really do need to make this choice consciously on your own, of your own free will, and say, I'm here, I'm going to choose with my free will to be here fully, which means that I'm going to choose every single day that this is my life, that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose to be here every single day. That's like, honestly, that's like step 0. Okay, and step 1, after choosing to be here, because if you're not going to choose to be here, then this video is not for you, and you may as well like not watch this. So go watch the suicide video if that's where you're at. Go watch that, and I'll link it below. So step 1, after choosing to be here, now welcome to life. You have a rough path ahead of you. It does not get easier from here. It gets more joyful, I can tell you that. It gets more emotional, it gets more visceral, it gets more real, it gets more colorful. Like, I remember when I was super depressed, everything was like muted. All the colors were super muted. And now that I'm not depressed anymore, it's like everything is so colorful. So after you make that choice, welcome to the big leagues, baby, because this is life. And life is hard, and that doesn't mean that life doesn't get to be easy and fun, because I absolutely believe that life also gets to be easy and fun. But when I say life is hard, what that means is you can't just skate by on vibes anymore. You have to take personal responsibility for your life, and if something's going wrong in your life, guess whose fault that is? That's your fault. If somebody does something to you, of course you're going to be a victim in that situation, and if it happens repeatedly, you have to say, okay, how was I responsible? And I'll link a video up here where I did that for myself, because I kept getting raped all the time. And finally, the last time that it happened, I was kidnapped, and I was like, this is not good. So I'll link a video up here showing you how I took personal responsibility for all of that. It's also a video that's going to teach you how to take personal responsibility, how to see that your mind is a projector, and that you were going to how to take personal responsibility for everything that goes on in your life without blaming yourself for things that happen to you. So step 1, heal your trauma. And this is the hardest part. Like, really, after you do this, everything kind of gets easier, because you realize that you can do this. Healing your trauma is so foundational, and it's so important that I don't think that you can live a good life without doing this. And the reason I don't think that is because when you are living with a lot of trauma in your being, you are living in a space of what is called spiritually, it's called determinism. What determinism is you being ruled by your past, it's you being ruled by your wounds, and it's you being ruled by your unconscious mind. That means you are not living in your free will. And if you're not living in your free will, you're not free, and you can't actually live a really good life. And if you can't live a really good life, which is what you decided to do in step 0, then you're failing yourself on some level. So healing your trauma is foundational, and I'll tell you the process that I used to heal my trauma, which was the completion process. I'll also link that below. This is a really easy process. I'm thinking if I should make a video guiding you through the completion process, like my own version of the completion process, because it's going to be, after you do it a few times, you kind of get into the rhythm of like what works for you and how to do it in a way that you need. This is a natural process. Nobody owns this process. Teal Swan owns her version of this process. I own my version of this process. Who else does this? I think Mami Onami does this. She has her own version of this process, which uses all the chakras, which I love. Let me think. If you're going to do Mami Onami's process, keep in mind that she says that you're going to have to do it over and over again, like once a year. Absolutely not. If you need to do this more than one time, you either did not do it right, or there's something deeper in there. So you should only have to do this once. The first time I did the completion process, within 6 months, my life did a complete 180. I've never had that same issue ever again. It was like a deep father wound that was making me want this guy who did not want me, and it was like a 4-year situationship. I've told you guys about it before, but that immediately ended when I did the completion process the first time. Immediately, like the blinders were, the rose-colored glasses were removed, and I was like, what the fuck? I totally fell out of obsession with that guy, and since then it's never been a problem. Like, men have never been a problem for me. Like, being in a relationship with a man who doesn't want me has never been an issue for me since then. It's not something I've ever had to revisit. It's not something that has come back to haunt me. It's not something that happens to me anymore, because I healed that, and it has, like, once you heal something, it's done. That's it. So I'll briefly walk you through the steps of the completion process. Step 1 is you need to find the trigger. You need to be in a trigger, and you need to find what that feels like in your body. Ask yourself, how often have I felt this before? When was the first time I felt this? And whatever memory pops up, or whatever sensation pops up, is what's accurate for you. And it'll be before age 8. If it's after age 8, that is a echo memory. So go back to the original memory. You need to just believe whatever pops up, because this is a psychic process. This is an etheric process. It's not something that even needs to be literal. Like, some of the memories that I've had, I'm sure did not even happen the way that I remembered them, but that's how it was coded into my consciousness. So just believe whatever pops up, and then ask the child, like, let it feel what it needs to feel. Ask the child what it needs. Bring in a guardian, bring in some kind of healthy figure to help the child, to be with the child, to get the child out of the situation. And a lot of this is my favorite part of the completion process, is getting revenge on the people that hurt you. My favorite way that my inner child likes to get revenge on people, though now that she's so healed, she doesn't really do this anymore. Now she just sends them away to go heal. But my favorite, when I was first starting the completion process, I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of rage, and my inner child wanted to steamroll people and, like, watch their guts spill out. I was like, oh yeah, girl. All right, do it. If you want, you can also, like, after you go through that revenge process, have them, like, send them away to heal, because that sometimes it feels psychically icky to keep them that way. Or you could just send them away to heal. Just whatever the inner child needs to heal that memory, like, give that to them. Trust that child knows exactly what it needs to heal and to finish that memory. And then after you're done getting revenge, I want you to correct the memory and give the child what it actually needed. So, did the child need a nurturing mother? Did the child need friends to love her? Did the child need people to, like, praise her? What did the child need, or him? What did the child need in that situation? So rewrite the memory and give them that. Teal Swan has you bring in different aspects from the future that have experienced the same thing to come and integrate. You can do that. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Let's see. And then take them to a safe space. Teal Swan will have you create a safe space in your in like a meditation to take them to, and then they can kind of come into your body, bring them back into your body. And then once they're back into your body, when waking up from that experience is usually really interesting, because it's like you have integrated this past self and they're, like, in your body for the first time. So it's a really cool experience. Write about it immediately afterwards. Write about it, pen to paper, not in your phone, because pen to paper has a very it's the manifestation of thought. So, like, writing something with a pen on paper is taking the etheric and putting it into the physical reality. So it's really important to write about it immediately afterwards. Write about what happened, how you felt, like, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's the completion process. That has been the number one trauma healer for me personally. It healed my complex PTSD, it healed my depression, it healed a lot of shit for me. So do that one. The next step, and we're on step 2, is to face your limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs are, well, I guess, yeah, no, we can do that later. limiting beliefs are things, and this is going to be kind of a lifelong process. You're going to find limiting beliefs here and there and everywhere, and it's never going to end, but it's not, it gets to be fun. Like, it gets to be fun, and it gets to be easy, and like being kind of this never ending like artwork is, honestly, it's part of what makes life so interesting. This is growth. Like, your growth is going to require that you keep creating neural pathways. Getting old is just refusing to learn anymore. So once you stop learning, and once you stop like creating those new neural pathways, that's when you start getting really old and crotchety and raggedy, and you start fading away, basically. Is why you see people who are super rigid, like they have this kind of old energy, like they just feel like worn down. I've never felt older than when I was 19 years old, and that was when I was like peak depresso. Basically, before 25, I felt so ancient. I felt like this ancient being, but after I started healing all of my trauma, it's like my soul just came back into my body, and now I feel really young now. Like, I just feel like I'm always learning. I feel very fresh. But face your limiting beliefs. Byron Katie's The Work is the best for this. Always be asking, is this universally true? So let's use an example. White people are oppressors. Is this universally true? Is this even true, period? No. So, like, and then you're going to have to look for beliefs or evidence for that not being true. Byron Katie's The Work, I'll also link below. And this is in my inner work cheat sheet, by the way. I'll link that down below as well. So if you ever need, like, you're like, what problem? I'm having a problem here. Where does this apply? What chakra is this in? What process do I need to use? I have like a whole sheet for that here, and I'll link that down below. It's the free self-worth cheat sheet, I think it's called. I really should rename it to the inner work cheat sheet, because it's just like an inner work cheat sheet, but self-worth is the root of all of your wounds. So heal your limiting beliefs. Just always be questioning your limiting beliefs, and always be questioning just what your observations are. So any judgments, a big one for me has been, if somebody annoys me, what am I projecting onto this person? Is that universally true? What is my responsibility here? Step 3 is learning how to feel. So learning how to feel, and this process is the same. I want to iterate that healing the emotional body and learning how to feel is the same for men and women. There is no difference in the energetic bodies of men and women. In anthroposophy, they're flipped. So like, if you're a female, you have a male energy body, and if you're a male, you have a female energy body. But I think that just kind of like shows that we all have all energies. So if you are a man, it help, like, processing your emotions can be done physically. I've processed my emotions physically, but this is because everybody has masculine and feminine energies, or if you prefer, yin and yang. So because everybody has all energies, we process the emotional body the same, because the emotional body is it's like part of the etheric body, and it's part of the physical body as well. So we feel our emotions in our physical body, but they're also etheric constructs. So processing your emotions is the same for both genders. Let's see, learning how to feel. And so learning how to feel, this is a process that I have kind of all over my channel, all over my page. It's also in my inner work cheat sheet, my self-worth cheat sheet. So you can find that there. And that one is like sitting with your emotion, just feeling it in your body. And it goes deeper into detail in those, in the cheat sheet. So you can go there to find that. But it's basically sitting with your emotion and feeling it, and letting it get bigger and bigger and bigger until it just pops. Like, the emotion just pops. And emotions should not last longer than 30 seconds. So if you're having an emotion longer than 30 seconds, you're not feeling it. You're not actually letting yourself feel it. So you gotta let yourself feel it. And for men, this can be kind of scary, because men actually have a denser organism. You have a denser body. So it's harder for you to feel your etheric body. It's harder for you to feel your emotions. And this is why it's so important for men to be emotionally mature, because without that emotional maturity, there is a kind of a stuntedness there. So learning how to feel your etheric body and not dissociate from it, not reject it, not project it onto other people, and not stonewall. Stonewalling is absolutely not emotional maturity. It's not stoicism. A lot of men confuse stoicism with stonewalling and like rejecting their emotions, but you can only actually be stoic if you are feeling your emotions and letting them come through you. It doesn't mean you need to be blubbering on the floor, though of course you should let yourself do that if that's what's coming through, because not letting yourself do that is going to lead to more emotional suppression. But that process is in the cheat sheet, and I will link that there. I want to say it is really important that you don't think that because you're a man or a woman, you have to do things totally differently. Like, the emotional kind of processing of emotions is the same for everybody. Everybody can process emotions physically, like going to the gym and working out. When I was like, before I knew how to process my emotions, that's what I did most of the time. I would go for a run, or I would go to the gym, and like I would get my frustration out that way. Or I'd like punch something. I still do that sometimes. I'll like punch a pillow if I'm like really frustrated. But writing for women is going to be like, we verbally process more things more, like verbal processing is kind of more natural for women, and like physical processing is more natural for men. So even though feeling your emotions and feeling them kind of bubble up and expanding those until they pop is good for everybody, if you need to process an emotion, like just get it out of your body, exercise is really good and writing is really good. Now women, as I just said, are going to tend more towards writing, but of course this depends on your, like, because we all have both genders within us. It really does depend on who you are as a person, whether writing works better for you or physical activity works better for you. I always recommend that men try physical activity first to get out their emotions, and verbal processing second, and women vice versa. If you are identifying as non-binary, this is a very confusing position to be in for you. You're basically overruling your instincts with your mental processes. You're not actually intuitively feeling your body. And the whole, like, there was a point in time when I had privately identified as non-binary, and it was because it's a lot of propaganda. It's not actually rooted in spiritual truth. It's not rooted in any real cultural truth either. Like, Two-Spirit was invented in the 90s at a gay rally. It's not really a thing. And identifying as non-binary, it's not going to erase the misogyny that you face as a woman, and it's not going to make you less, make you like a better man if you're a man, okay? And a lot of the reasons that, so like if you're thinking I feel like a man or I feel like a woman, but you're the opposite gender, like, these things are not feelings. Nobody feels like a man and nobody feels like a woman. What you're feeling is actually the energy, the flows of the masculine and feminine energies within you at all times. So you're not feeling like a man, you're not feeling like a woman, you're feeling your masculine energy, or you're feeling your feminine energy, or you're feeling your both of those energies at once. Everybody feels that way. Everybody feels that way. And this is why some non-binary people are like, everybody's non-binary in some way. Right, sure. You don't get to identify out of your gender. You don't get to identify out of your sex. So unfortunately, you know, like getting to the root of that kind of confusion within yourself is only solved by getting into the spiritual truth of these energies within you and refusing to reject your body, the reality of your body, basically. So that needs to be said, just because I know there are people out there who are like for you, honestly, this energy work is going to be really easy if you identify as non-binary, because but you have to get rid of this the mental construct of I'm non-binary is stopping you from facing the truth of and the reality of your body, which is not good. And the reason that that's important to your emotional processing is because when we have a lot of propaganda that is keeping us from feeling our body and keeping us from like feeling the truth of our body, we can't actually process our emotions because we're gaslighting ourselves, we're lying to ourselves. So the last reminder that I have for you is that this is hard. It's going to take work. You're going to have to repeat this over and over again, the belief work especially. The trauma work, no. If you need to keep repeating the trauma work over and over again, you're either not doing it right, which is it's really hard to not do it right, so don't worry about that, or you're trying to process something that doesn't need to be processed. And think about why this doesn't need to be processed. Maybe it just needs to be accepted. We don't need to be constantly processing things. Like, trauma is, okay, I'm gonna face this, I'm gonna process it, and it's done. Like, it's easy as that. You could heal like a lifetime worth of trauma in 30 minutes. I've done it several times. The hardest part of this is probably the belief work, just because it takes so much repetition and it takes so much energy to rewire your neural pathways in your brain. You have to, one, identify your limiting beliefs, and that's hard because you are living with them, but you'll notice them because life is a projection. Your brain is a projector, life is a projection, and whatever's coming at you is telling you about what you believe. So what are you seeing out in the world? Those are your beliefs, and you can always find them that way, by questioning yourself and by saying, what is this showing me? What is reality showing me that I am believing? And then rewiring your brain towards positivity. One of my favorite beliefs that I've had in my mind for years and years and years, since I was studying Abraham Hicks, is that everything is always working out for me. And that's just the truth of my existence. That's the truth of my life, is that everything is always working out for me. Everything. It's never, ever, there's never been a time in my life when it hasn't worked out. There's never been a hardship in my life that hasn't turned out to be a positive for me. So the hardest part is rewiring your brain towards positivity, because your brain is automatically by default wired towards negativity because it's a survival organ. The brain is here to keep you alive, and so the brain is always trying to point out problems. When you understand this, and just accept it, don't try to change your brain. Don't try to say, oh, there's something wrong with me for being so negative. There's nothing wrong with you for being negative. That's just your default set point. That's the human default set point. So you have to actually do the work to rewire your brain towards the positive, and that does take work. It does take effort, and it is hard, but you can do it. Let me think if there's anything else I need to say. Nope. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful, and I hope that you heal everything that needs to be healed, so that you can become the person that you're here to be, without any of the bullshit that has been thrust upon you by reality, that has been thrust upon you by your genes, that has been thrust upon you by your society, your culture, your family, your parents. You are here to be your own person. You are here to clear all of that, especially if you're here watching my channel. You absolutely deserve to live a life that feels fucking delicious to you, that looks fabulous to you, that feels like joy to you, and that is uplifting and empowering to you. Empowerment of people is like my number one wish for humanity. I just want everybody to be in their power so that we can stop being controlled by the fucking government. Okay, love you. Bye.